Ladies and gentlemen, next is the award of fellowships by the Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons. First fellowship is awarded to Professor Neville D. Pereira, Professor in Surgery and Senior Consultant Urologist. I would like to invite Dr. Manjula Vijayawardena, the President-elect of SLAUS, to read the citation.
Good evening. If Hugh Hampton Young, Terence Milling, Patrick Walsh are for Americans, Richard Turner Warwick or John Blendy for the British, or maybe Katie Fu for Singaporeans, it's Professor Neville Dayawansa Pereira for Sri Lankans. Mr. President, members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored and privileged to present my teacher, Professor Neville Dayawansa Pereira, MBBS Colombo, MS Colombo, FRCS England, FRCS Edinburgh, Diploma in Urology London, Honorary Fellow of the College of Surgeons of Sri Lanka for the confirmation of Honorary Fellowship of the Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons tonight. Professor Pereira graduated from Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo in 1983. He board certified as a specialist urological surgeon in 1992, having completed his overseas training at then Harold Hospital, Romford, England. He obtained fellowships of both Royal Colleges of England at Edinburgh and also completed diploma in urology at London during his overseas training. He was appointed as the genitourinary surgeon at Teaching Hospital Karapitiya on his return to the island in 1993 and moved to then General Hospital Colombo, now National Hospital of Sri Lanka, where he is currently serving. Professor Pereira is a versatile surgeon in all spheres of urology. He pioneered establishment of urethral reconstruction, bladder substitution, percutaneous nephrolithotomy, radical prostatectomy, laparoscopic urological surgery in Sri Lanka. If not for the recent COVID pandemic and the economic turmoil, robotic urology would have also added to this list before he finally hung his boots from the state service. Professor Pereira is a world-renowned reconstructive urologist, having conducted many local and international urethroplasty workshops and won many national and international awards for his services. Being an avid writer, he has innumerous numbers of scientific articles, research papers, textbook chapters, and lectures, including 12 orations in Sri Lanka abroad. In the sphere of postgraduate training, his service to the nation is immense. I would like to mention, out of the practicing 45 odd urological surgeons in Sri Lanka at present, about 15 are Neville Pereira's stock. He has served as an examiner in undergraduate and postgraduate examinations in surgery, and for well over 30 years, he has continued this and was confirmed with the title of Visiting Professor of Urology at the Postgraduate Institute of Medicine, University of Colombo in 2009. He is also the founding professor of surgery at the South Asia Institute of Technology and Medicine, SITEM. Then I would also like to mention, he is one of the 3 founding members of our association, SLAUS, way back in 1999. He has held the post of treasurer, secretary, culminating in being its president in 2010. He was also a long-standing treasurer in the College of Surgeons of Sri Lanka when they had little money, and also the president of that association in 2012. The crowning moment of his urological career, I'm sure, is the coming of age of the Institute of Nephrology and Urology at the National Hospital of Sri Lanka in 2021, a sprawling complex for kidney diseases in Sri Lanka, which will have the future headquarters of our association. Mr. President, members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, I present Professor Neville Dayawansa Pereira for the confirmation of Honorary Fellowship of the Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons.
The next fellowship is awarded to Professor David Richens, former International Director of Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow. Professor Richens will now join us virtually. I would like to invite Council Member Professor Srinath Chandrasekara to read the citation.
Good evening, President, members of the head table, members of Council and distinguished past presidents, Professor Richens, who is joining us live from the UK. It is my great honor and pleasure to read the citation of Professor Richens for the conferment of the Honorary Fellowship of our association. Professor David Richens is a cardiac surgeon by specialty. He studied medicine at the King's College Hospital in London, and after postgraduate surgical training in the UK and St. Vincent Hospital in Sydney, David took up his first NHS consultant post in Glasgow, where he was instrumental in setting up the Scottish Heart Transplant Program. David performed the first cardiac transplant in Scotland in the 90s, and in 1995 moved to the Nottingham University Hospital, establishing a cardiac surgery program before going on to take up his role as head of service and clinical director and director of surgery in the same institute. Professor Richens chaired the Joint Committee on Intercollegiate Examinations on behalf of the 4 Royal Colleges of the United Kingdom from 2014 to 2017, and was the internal professional advisor to the Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman for over 10 years. David has been a national clinical lead for cardiothoracic surgery since 2016 up to date. He retired from clinical practice in January 2017, but remained very much active in the academic sphere, both locally in the United Kingdom and internationally. David has been a member of Council and an international director for the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow in the past. Professor Richens' bonds with Sri Lanka spans over several decades, where his initial visit to Sri Lanka was as a young medical student in the early 90s, I believe. Following his specialization and ascent to various positions of responsibility, David continued his interaction and friendship with Sri Lanka, helping our academic development and professional development of surgeons in numerous ways. The list is far too numerous, but if I may highlight a few, Professor Richens was invited as an MD examiner for the general surgical examination, and following that, he returned to Sri Lanka at the invitation of the Postgraduate Institute as an assessor from the JCIE, in which he was chairman, which led to the recognition of our MD in the United Kingdom for direct recognition, for direct registration. David, together with Professor Aberani, who is our chief guest tonight, was instrumental in developing the exit fellowship our president spoke about, which led to the award of the certificate of specialist training by the College of Surgeons in Sri Lanka, and we are very glad that urology was the first to take up this opportunity, which led to the conferment of the FRCS to successful candidates, and I think we have 16 proud such graduates in the audience today. David has worked closely with the College of Surgeons, and in the past has been awarded the Honorary Fellowship of the College of Surgeons of Sri Lanka, or College of Surgeons of Sri Lanka as well. Mr. President, members of Council, and ladies and gentlemen, in view of the long-standing friendship and numerous distinguished contributions to enhance postgraduate surgical training, and in particular, academic urology in Sri Lanka, it is my honor to present Professor David Richens for the highest honor of our association, which is the Honorary Fellowship. David, you are connected to us live, and since you are not here physically, we would like you to speak a few words.
Professor Srinath Chandrasekara, thank you very much indeed for this opportunity and for the great honour and privilege of the Honorary Fellowship of SLAUS. I wish I was there with you, and I hope to be travelling to see you all very shortly. I think that the exit examination in urology in Sri Lanka was a wonderful example of how the urologists in Sri Lanka can lead the way in surgery, and the hard work and academic excellence of the examining body made it very successful. So I wish the exam well. I wish the Society of Urological Surgeons well, and I'm very grateful for the honour that you have done me today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, sir. Our third and final fellowship is now awarded to Professor Abe Rane, Vice President of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow and our chief guest this evening. I would like to invite Dr. Suren De Silva, the President of SLAUS, to read the citation.
It gives me great pleasure to read the citation of our chief guest, Professor Abe Rane. Abe Rane, FRCS Glasgow UROL, he graduated from the Pune University, which is now known as Pune University in India in 1983. He trained in urology in the United Kingdom and the United States. He was appointed to his current post as a consultant urological surgeon at the Surrey and Sussex NHS Trust in 1999. He is a surgical vice president of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow. He is a visiting professor at the Canterbury Christchurch University, Kent, and adjunct clinical professor at the Keck School of Medicine at the University of Southern California and the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York. Professor Rane was appointed by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II as Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire in the 2014 Honours List for services to laparoscopic surgery. He has a keen interest in surgical education. His contribution to the setting up of the Sri Lankan Exit Fellowship in Urology is beyond measure. He guided the senior Sri Lankan urologists at every step along the way and developed a brand new local examination which was fully recognized by the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow. He was instrumental in developing closer ties with the Sri Lankan surgeons, and he's been an examiner and an assessor in surgery. Distinguished past presidents, members of the council, I now have the honor of presenting the highest honor of the Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons, which is our honorary fellowship, to our chief guest tonight, Professor Abe Rane. I now request you to accept the fellowship and deliver your address.
What can I say? Good evening, everybody. It's an honor, privilege, an absolute joy to be here. What I was going to say has actually been said by the previous speaker, so, and I don't even have a piece of paper or a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm going to wing this. But just being here, receiving this, is probably one of the proudest days of my life. And I mean that. I look around this room, my eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, and the lights shining in my face aren't helping, but I look at friends who have now become really close friends, and I identify with them, I reach out to them, I socialize with them, and thank you, all of you. I don't want to name names because I'll miss out a few and then it'll hurt a few others. But you know who you are, and you know, I'm so grateful for your friendship and you know, interacting with you. You've introduced me to your families. I see a couple of wives of eminent urologists here who have met my family, my wife, and socialized, and you know, it's made our life richer, and you know, it's a very poignant time for me to be here. The previous speakers have mentioned one strength of urology in Sri Lanka, and I think it goes beyond that. It shows that urologists are pioneers, and we've always been the ones to lead the way. When Srinath suggested that we look at having an exit exam for urology based in Sri Lanka, run by Sri Lankans, I was the first one to actually say, let's do it. And you know, we couldn't have done this without people like yourselves, and by that I mean SLAUS, stepping up to the plate and actually saying, let's do it. We have a time frame. We needed to work hard because the opportunity for developing this exam and delivering it was quite finite, in that we were under a microscope by our college. The other specialties were watching as well, and we had to deliver. So thank you, SLAUS. This is the first thing I want to say. Thank you for working hard, you know, over those days in last year in November, December, and then in February, to help deliver this exam. And it's made us proud. It's made you proud. And I'm delighted for the 16 candidates who have passed and have got the FRCS of my college. I'm wearing the tie here. And something on that tie resonates with what I had just said and what I was going to say, but has been usurped by others. The one thing on the crest of that tie that may not be visible, but it is, there are two words in there. It's called Conjurat Amice, and that means in friendship. And it is so important to me to be here in friendship with yourself and to celebrate in the 17th association meeting. So thank you once again. I wanted to say a lot more, but we'll leave it at that. Thank you.